Hey everybody. Hey, we are live. Let me make sure we're all good tech-wise. Awesome. So we are officially live. Happy Friday. I love doing these bi-weekly lives. It's the day after Christmas, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Either way, it'll be fun. Hello. See somebody joining. Let me know where you're joining from. Again, not expecting too many people. I know it's the day after Christmas, so it'll be a fun, intimate group here. But I'm going to give it like 3 or 4 minutes before I jump right in. It feels like spring, summer. It's 83 degrees here. It's kind of ridiculous for a Christmas. It's kind of so warm. I can't even believe it. It's just I live in an old building also, so I turned on the AC and it's taking so long to warm up, so it's still just very warm. Why is this stuff so complex? Cultures come to the West and thrive while we spiral out. Yeah, man, I get it. I think it's something to do with our obsession with hyper-individualism that's gone a little too far. I think that's something. It's like Eastern cultures are overly focused on collectivism, and they just don't let people, I guess, find themselves. A little woo-woo. But in the West, we've become so comfortable and just so atomized, and we're literally dying in our comforts. So I think it's part of it. Yeah. So welcome. Where are you guys from? If y'all hit the like button, I think that helps the algorithm, helps let people know what I'm doing. Oh, nice, Ottawa. Lots of Canadian folks. Nice to see you. Well, I'm excited to get into it. It's going to be a really fun, hopefully just like cathartic episode live thing that I want to get into. So I'm just going to give it like 1 more minute and then I'm going to dive in. Oh, I see some more folks are joining. Let me know where y'all are joining from. Merry Christmas. That's the one thing too, just my little take. I find it so ridiculous that people don't say Merry Christmas. It's like, we live in the United States. It's a Christian nation. We can say Merry Christmas. All right. So today is going to be all about teamwork, making the dream work. Teamwork between men and women. What are we missing? Some of the things that I just love to talk about when it comes to men and women. Some of the things that are not understood. And it'll just be fun. Some celebration of men and masculinity. Yeah, hopefully it will connect some dots for you guys. It'll just be a fun conversation on this Friday after Christmas. Okay, I'm going to jump right into it. Let's do it. I'm going to pull open this. I have this snowstorms in Syracuse. Oh, hi, Josh. Nice. Man, it, like I was saying before, it is 83 degrees here in Texas. It does not feel like the holidays, that's for sure. And all right. So let's do this. Let's have some fun. I have been spending a lot of time with Alison Armstrong's content over the last couple weeks. I've said this before to some people. When I first discovered her, maybe like 7-8 years ago, I cried when I read her book, The Queen's Code. I was listening to it, so I heard her voice. And what became very clear to me is her just passion and vulnerability and real like love for partnership and desire for other people to experience the depths of partnership. And so her entire life has been, you know, her purpose, her career, her gift to the world has been about helping men and women understand each other better. And she's kind of like the fairy godmother of this work. And listening to her, if you guys have ever listened to Alison Armstrong, just if you type in Alison Armstrong on YouTube, you'll see a whole bunch of her interviews. She's 65. She's been doing this for 35-ish years. And yeah, she's just, to me, she's one of the female elders to look up to for me. And I do look up to her. And the big aha for her was when she realized that it wasn't that men were frustrating her or they weren't calling her back, or, you know, things would be going so great with men when they first started going out, but three months later, suddenly he became apathetic, or suddenly he stopped calling, or suddenly he stopped being the great guy he was the first couple weeks. And her whole 20s, she thought, she, you know, went right along with the narrative that, you know, men are trash, or men are stupid, or men don't care, and men don't want to be committed, men, all this. And she had this big aha when she realized, oh my gosh, this has nothing to do with men. They are mirroring to me how I'm being to them. I'm causing all of these difficulties with men. I'm the one that is creating the undesirable situations with men. And so in one of her books, she talks about how she learned that she was a frog farmer. And this is a really fun analogy, saying. And the thing about Alison Armstrong is she has these really clever, catchy sayings. And she told this man at a workshop, she said, you know, I have such bad luck with men. 3 months after we're dating, like it never goes anywhere. I just want love, you know? And he said, oh, you're a frog farmer. She said, what does that mean? And what a frog farmer is, it's the exact opposite of what happens when the princess kissed the frog and the frog turned into a prince, right? He's letting her know that actually you take princes, like already good, generous, quality men, and you turn them into frogs by how you're behaving, by your distrust, by the way that you actually don't understand that so much of what women experience with men is their doing. And I think it's a really big, conversation. And so there's a couple of differences between men and women, and a couple of things that I want to get into. And please, this is going to totally open forum. Add questions in the chat, and we'll get into them. But first, I wanted to read something in honor of the holidays, because this is fun. So the reason I brought her up is Alison Armstrong, is because she wrote an email this week that is called Santa Claus, the Quintessential Man. Okay, and I'm going to read it, and I think it's just a great thing. As a mother of 3 children, there have been numerous opportunities to answer the question, is Santa Claus real? And her answer is always the same. Absolutely. Is there a man who flies through the sky? Probably not. But is the spirit of Santa Claus real? Yes. And for Alison, what she's writing about is saying Santa Claus is alive and well in the hearts of men. Santa Claus is the quintessential, purest, concentrated essence of the goodness of men. And she talks about this is how Santa Claus represents men. Like Santa, men are incredibly generous. They have a huge desire to give. The goodness of a person inspires them to give more. Meanness makes them want to give less. Like Santa, men need us to tell them what we want. They can't read minds. They don't pick up on hints. They appreciate it straight and to the point, just like the letters the kids send to the North Pole. I thought that was so charming. Like Santa, men want to make us happy. So when we tell them what we want, it's important to distinguish what will be nice from what will really make us happy. Like Santa Claus, men need to be appreciated. Whether it's milk and cookies or a hug and a smile, it matters to Santa that we loved his gifts and we appreciated his gifts. Like Santa, men get their power from us believing in them. When we believe in their goodness and generosity, when we believe they want to take care of us and make us happy, we interact with men in a way that naturally brings out the best in them. The best for us, the best for them. Like Santa Claus, believing is seeing, not the other way around. I believe in Santa till the day I die. I believe in men. And I thought that was so sweet. So I just think there's a couple of things that are really interesting. There was a tweet someone was talking about. So also I listened to the Alison Armstrong and Chris Williamson interview that came out a couple weeks ago. I think that was a really good one. Alison Armstrong on Modern Wisdom. I would recommend if you're interested in just getting a taste of Alison. She's so charming and enchanting and lovely and super feminine and smiles and laughs her whole way through this big topic of understanding men and women, and I think it's really endearing. And one of the things that I've always known kind of deep in my gut, and I experience it and I see it, is that feminine frequency drives male action. And so they were talking about a tweet that I think they were talking about a post or something about how, a man will treat a woman how he wants to be treated at the beginning of a relationship. And then as time goes by, he just starts to treat her the same way that he's been treated. So he mirrors back to her what's been going on. And unfortunately, for the past however many decades, what's been going on has not been good. It has not been good. And it reflects this idea that women have ingested that men are broken women. Like, men are broken women. They are effectively just like defective women. And because of that, we need to treat them like they're always messing up. They've always got it wrong. They're missing what's important. They aren't doing anything right. And I would argue that if a woman was behaving this way with a man, and it wasn't and feminism didn't exist, and like female groupthink and the narratives that kind of fed this loop for women that yes, men are terrible, men are the problem, it's men's fault. I would argue that women might do some self-reflection and realize, oh shit, the way that I'm thinking about this isn't working for me. Clearly I'm missing something. Like I need a paradigm shift. But I think because of the power of feminism, and also because women are so, they succumb to groupthink in a much more easy way than men. And women are obsessed with pleasing each other and pleasing people in general, being pleasing. I think because of all of those things, women have just been given this like feedback loop of, oh yes, you're absolutely right. Men are the problem, men are the problem. And it's really disheartening and unfortunate because it's not true. Obviously, it's not true. And so one of the interesting things that I've been thinking about too is I've again, a lot of this stuff comes from Alison, and there are a couple of like very interesting things. So number one, I think that women have this desire to please each other and to just be pleasing in a way that is very strange and is very overwhelming. And I don't think men really get it in a really big way. And I think this goes back to that big sex difference from warriors and warriors around how when a group of men are asked to solve a problem or answer a question, right? They'll kind of like jockey for speaking time. They'll speak over each other. They'll shout out answers. They'll try to get to the answer. They'll try to solve the problem, right? And they'll create a bit of a hierarchy and who's better equipped for this. Like, let's get it done. And then they'll respond with the best answer they've come up with as a team, and they'll be really excited about it. Like, that entire experience is a positive experience for men. And it's so interesting when women are given the same exact task, they won't even get to the problem. Oftentimes, they won't even get to the problem. They'll, so tell me about your, Sarah, let's start with you. Okay, we need to make sure that everyone has speaking time. We need to make sure that we understand like context for Sarah and for Emily and for Gabby, and everyone needs their speaking time. And I think it's just so interesting the way that women go about this, because the purpose of that endeavor is to then be pleasing to each other, right? It's to make sure no one's mad at them, and they don't really come to the answer. This is something that I did. Actually, I led a workshop about a year ago, an in-person workshop here in Dallas, and it was like 18 people, and it was pretty much half and half. And what I did was I had the men go away and the women go away, and each group had to come up with what they love most about the opposite sex. And it was meant to be this very empowering, fun, and delicious kind of gift to the opposite sex, right? That's what it was supposed to be. And man, oh man, the exact thing that I just said went down in that experience. All the men were just like on it. They had a list of like 45 things that they loved about women. It was so beautiful to see. And the women were still just like, well, what do we mean though when we say love? And it was just like, oh man, it was just so silly. And it's that thing that has me kind of pinpoint one of the big differences between men and women that doesn't get a lot of airtime or understanding is the fact that women are a little bit obsessed with reciprocity and men are not obsessed with reciprocity. Men are obsessed with complementary contribution. Like, basically, I am really good at all of these different things, okay? I am looking for someone that is really good at all of these other different things. And together, we are unstoppable, right? Like, that's the dream. Whereas I think in women's psyches, because of what I just mentioned around, being ultra pleasing and making sure that everyone has the same amount of time to speak and etc., women get caught up in this like reciprocity thing where it's like, well, if I made you a sandwich, then tomorrow you should make me a sandwich. Otherwise you don't love me. And it's so crazy because I watched a couple go through this stupid argument a couple years ago. This was back when I was in LA. It was a friend of mine, and she went on and on about like, I love to do, acts of service for my guy. Like, I love to, make sure that when I make coffee, even if he's getting up later than me, I'll make him a cup of coffee as well. So it's there and it's waiting for him. And she did these types of things, and it was her contribution. And she was so angry with him, and she'd always just start this fight with him around how, you clearly don't care about me because you don't do the same thing. And I watched this guy completely stunned about this conversation because it wasn't computing. This guy was like a carpenter. He was building a table for their kitchen. This guy was like making sure she had all the gear she needed for her running because she was a runner. This guy was taking care of other things, okay? Contributing. To him, it was just like, what? And it was so, because I knew this. I had already been studying Alison Armstrong and studying men and women, and I was just like, you're looking for reciprocity. He's not looking for reciprocity. He's looking for complementary contribution. Do you know what I'm saying? And it was just so, he couldn't get it. And I think that, yeah, scorekeeping versus benevolence, totally. And exactly, and I love that. Oh, I love that you said benevolence, because I want to bring up the benevolent father archetype that I think is really key as well. It's just something I've been thinking about in a big way. So in the same way, you know, like a man doesn't need repayment for something. He just needs appreciation, and he needs a contribution in another area where he is not excelling, right? And I think women fundamentally misunderstand like how teamwork works when it comes to partnership because of all of those narratives, right? And I think Alison Armstrong, she was just so great. She always brings up sports analogies, which I think are always helpful and, you know, easy to get for men. And she was talking about how, you know, it would be as if Tom Brady was looking for another player to throw the ball just as well as him, as opposed to someone that can catch the ball really well. And so it's so silly. And I think women, if they really saw it that way and realized how silly that difference is, and I think that's what's a little bit interesting is with women, there's such a sensitivity to that reciprocity. And it's really interesting because it's hard, right? When you're like sensitive with one sex, it's hard to change gears for the other sex. And that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to say that our primal instincts are probably right with same-sex relationships, but they're definitely not right with the opposite sex relationship. And it's just important for us in the same way that we hire a math tutor to help us with math, that we hire a coach to get better at a sport. We invest in support and education for almost everything under the sun, except for relating to the opposite sex. We just feel like we can just wing it. No big deal. We'll just wing it, see what happens. And it's just so silly because it doesn't work. Now, I think people were winging it without a lot of information before the brewings of distrust and resentment and like adversarial behavior, right? It's Alison says all the time, she's like, I'm amazed that people have made it this far, you know, procreating and getting together and all of that. But, you know, it's really only been quite adversarial in the last, 100 years or so, right? So I think there's an opportunity there. Let's see, what do I want to talk about next? Duet, not a duel. Yeah, I love it. Nice. Duet, not a duel. Totally. I think that's really, really good. Yeah, I think let me get into the benevolent father archetype, because I don't know if I'm riffing today, you guys. I'm just like, whatever comes out, comes out. It's what it is. But the benevolent father archetype. Okay, this is where this comes from. Actually, I want to pull up my notes. I took a few notes here. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, this other thing that I'm going to talk about this before we get into the benevolent father that I think is important. Okay, this is something that I notice in the men that I coach and just in men in general. And here's something that has been completely missed in our culture too. Male power and male happiness are inextricably linked. This is very important. This is very important. So it's just so interesting. I was listening to Allison say this, and then let me see where I put that. Both of those emotions, right? The feeling of power and the feeling of happiness, they're stored in the shoulders and the upper back and the upper chest area for men. And so one thing that is just, it's always very clear, right? When a man is dealing with inner unworthiness or a heavy inner critic, like the shoulders droop a little bit. We can see that, like he's been cut down and he's been made to feel like he's just no good. We can see those shoulders. But when there's confidence, when there's a sense of power, those shoulders are up and back. And what's interesting is that male happiness is stored up here as well. And it's like we ask ourselves, like, what's going on with men? What's going on with men? And it's like, why aren't men happy? Why are men apathetic? Why are men frustrated? Why? Oh, okay. It's because we've cut them off from their power. And I love the word power, because power means to be influential. And one of the most amazing things about men is how generous men are. And when they're seen in their power, there's so much generosity and giving and abundance that comes from that. And one thing that women are so confused about is that it's actually a woman's opportunity. It's an opportunity for her to empower and inspire him, and then to watch how he uses his power for good, which affects her as well. And so I think women have it in their minds, this just like weird idea that male power is bad, right? It's just this really reductive idea. Men shouldn't have so much power. Men abuse power. And like I've said many times, right, the tiny percentage of psychopaths and narcissists that abuse their power effectively create this bias within the culture and within the society, right? It's like, oh, Harvey Weinstein is like abused his power, so that means that all boys have like a natural setting in their bodies that is set to bad power, and now we have to try to cut them down to make sure that they don't use their power badly because their power is bad. And it's so disheartening and heartbreaking and unfortunate, because male power is such a beautiful, like inspiring thing that like moves mountains, creates electricity, builds the world, protects people, makes women feel safe. And that's where men's happiness comes from, right? This sense of power. And so I think it's just really interesting that we are confused. Oh, men, what? Open up. You should be happy. Why aren't you happy? What would make you happy? Well, it's actually being able to see men in their own, in their, what do I want to say here? In their strength. Yeah, in their strength and in their power. Hey, Steve, interesting. And the fallenness or corrupt heart would seek to have that power focused to them or become theirs. And in a healthy manner, she and her feminine would help to focus it and broaden it. Totally. This is something that I think is just, I don't know, you guys, it's so interesting. I think that the right partnership, the right combination of man and woman, it's like she can become these like supersonic, she could become this like supersonic blaster for him, and kind of 5x, 10x his world through her support and through her understanding and through her inspiration. And it's one of these things where I think our culture has like got it wrong as well. And I think everyone should take ownership for healing their wounds, finding what they're good at, and, making things happen. I think everyone should take ownership for their own well-being and like being good in the world. But I do think that we've created this weird narrative that women don't need to take accountability and men just have to figure it all out and do everything, and then they'll be worthy of being surrendered to. Doesn't work like that, actually. I think people have, for thousands and thousands of years, understood the flip side. The power there is actually women inspiring and encouraging men to their greatness, right? I think there's such a beautiful opportunity there. And one of the incredible things that I think women have, okay, let's just do a little recap because I think that's important. So men are looking for complementary contributions and connections. Women have this idea that reciprocity is what will make everything work. That's not true. The complementary thing is the thing that works. The idea that feminine frequency really goes first is the next thing. That's what I was getting into here. I think that people for thousands and thousands of years have been really tuned in to the notion that women are really inspiring. When they believe in men, women are quite discerning. Women have spidey senses around what's fake, what's sabotage, what's not true, right? If she has his best interests at heart, and she is deeply connected to what's important to him, because she knows that that is ultimately what's most important to her as well, because what's most important to her is love. And so it's very obvious to me that if what's most important to her is love, what's most important to him is mastery through his power and being able to be generous and being a contributing force to the world thanks to his power, her being able to support him in that would then encourage him to be happy and to give more love, and it's like the circle of love. It just makes sense. The circle of love and power, how it all works, and it feels very harmonious in that way. And yeah, there's this opportunity for women to just remember how discerning they have been and were always for so long. I realized that the narratives, I was thinking about the narratives that I heard in like the 90s and early 2000s, kind of being a young girl and a teenager. I just remember there's so many forces vying for our attention, and they have been. And we were so impressionable at, I was for sure at 12 or 13, like watching MTV, wondering what I should be doing, what is good, what is cool. And if we didn't have, thriving community around us, then we were just kind of taking a lot of information in from the media. And I think a lot of, millennials grew up that way. And I remember one of the biggest narratives as a young girl in the early 2000s was, the most important thing is for you to be super thin. You just have to be really thin, and you just have to focus on your appearance. And it's the most important thing. That's the only way that men will like you. And I remember there was a quote from like Kate Moss or something. Y'all, I'm going all over the place, but it was like, nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. And I will tell you right now, a lot of young girls ingested that information, no pun intended. And there was this weird cutting girls off from their power also, and making them feel like they weren't good unless they were a very specific looking woman, and not in a beautiful way, kind of in an unhealthy way. And I think that, paired with the feminist narratives, just put young girls in this really low self-esteem, really low self-esteem. And I would argue, like, what is most inspiring to men? It's self-esteem in women. It's self-confidence. It's passion. It's this courageousness, right? It's all of these beautiful things that are quite enchanting and lovely in women. This discernment, right? Like, oh no, like I'm discerning about who I, let into my life. And I think a lot of women were just cut off from that. I think that's really big as well, something just important to remember. And so it became really easy. I was in high school in the 90s and saw so much anorexia, really heartbreaking, totally. And so I just, I remember young girls were really down about themselves in the 2000s, early 2000s. And men aren't very inspired by that. It's like, if feminine frequency goes first, let's get to the root causes of some of these things too, and what's been going on for decade after decade. And I think that might have been kind of the beginning of leading us to where we're at now. And then social media and the insane bullying and the way that exponentially grew over the aughts and the 2010s to where we are today, where there's two different worlds happening. There's like girl land and there's man land, boy land, and they're so separate. And it's everyone's atomized, and it's a very strange thing. And so I think girls then become women with all of the narratives now after that around I think it's continued, the physical stuff. Now it's just like the Kim Kardashianification, right? So it went from the Kate Mossification of girls in the late 90s to now the like Kim Kardashianification. And so it's just a different look, but it's still that same self-esteem stuff that's going on. But now I think women in their little loops online, they're stuck in this idea that, well, if you're so amazing, you have all of this, you don't need to do anything. Like, men are like putting their their bank accounts or how much they make on their dating profiles. I heard about this recently, and we've atomized and we've created products out of humans is what we've done. Yeah, that we've ultimately created products out of humans in a lot of spaces, and it's really sad because we're also multidimensional and layered, and it's really sad. So I think there's a lot to be said for people just taking back their power and realizing how stuck they are. Yeah, we've commoditized ourselves totally. And so I think where I was leading with that is where people like Alison Armstrong it's just so beautiful. The kind of work that I'm trying to do is just kind of reminding people that we live in the same world. What would it be like to live in the same world? And everybody, please, ask questions. Any questions you guys have. I'm going to go for like maybe 15-ish more minutes. The other thing I wanted to get into is this idea of the benevolent father archetype. Okay. So I think this is so important, and also reflects some of whether it be physical fatherlessness or emotional fatherlessness that many have experienced in life. Alison said something like, it would be What if men were treated like gods instead of like dogs? There was a conversation. There's a lot of more context about that, but I just want to get into that right now. And what's the irony of that statement is, I think that women have this delusional fantasy about who a man should be for them. He knows everything I think. He is like there at the right time. He's 5 steps ahead of me. He has everything figured out. He's perfect in all these ways. But when it comes to actually, it's almost like the godification, but what's actually happening is men aren't being treated well at all. It's like, it's the irony, it's flipped. And so when we were talking about, I was listening to this and I started thinking about what it means, like what is the relationship with God the Father? I think personally, to me, like, what is that relationship? What does it require of me, right? Well, it requires me to give trust fully. It requires me to know that when I want something and it doesn't happen for me, that there's a reason for it. It requires me to know that God is steering me in the right direction. He's taking things from me that shouldn't be mine. He's teaching me lessons. He's holding me accountable. He just knows best, right? He knows best because of his generosity and his devotion, right? He also surprises me. He also loves me so much. He sees me in a way that I don't even see myself. He's so, he loves me so much. And he's so, he deserves my trust, right? And so, yeah, and intimacy and reverence. And it's one of these things that I think when it comes to thinking about that relationship with dad, what does dad really do? And what is that benevolent fatherhood? I mean, I would say that if the ultimate in feminine expression is motherhood, then I imagine the ultimate in masculine expression is fatherhood. And I think that, I mean, I love seeing men. I was just on a call with a gentleman who's like, I'm so committed to the work I'm doing right now. I'm just so full of intention because I'm about to have a baby in 2 weeks. Like, I'm about to be a dad. Like, everything's different, you know? And so it's so great. This idea of benevolent fatherhood, it feels to me like he steers everyone in the right direction. Yeah, and it reminds me of the story that my good friend Courtney told when she got in a car accident late at night, and her husband at the time was just said, for the next 6 months, like, you're not driving past 8 p.m. And he steered her. He took that away from her, the nighttime driving, and he did it for her best interest, right? He's protecting her, and it just goes back to care and devotion and just how caring and devoted men are to the people that they care about. And I've just watched this over and over again. And I think this weird feminist narrative has like twisted women's brains around, oh, when men speak up and try to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? I would advise that's not the right move for you. Women have just become accustomed to, what do you know? I do what I want. Like, you can't tell me what to do. And it's just, as opposed to like, oh man, is that what you would say to God? If you got a message from God that, oh, that's not the right thing for you. It's not the right thing for you. You should go this way instead. Or that is the right thing for you. Yes. Right? What would you do? Would you say that to God? Don't tell me what to do. I do what I want. Right? That's what I mean when men as like father, the benevolent father archetype. And it's a desire that I believe most women have, similar desire that they have to become a mother. It's a desire to be steered, to be guided by a man in that way. And it doesn't have to show up all the time. I think people take this way too seriously and way too overboard because they don't have the relationship with their creator. They don't have the relationship with their father. So they project all of those needs onto their partner. I don't think that's okay either. But just that trust, right? And that openness. And just that belief, the belief in the goodness, like the belief in the goodness. And there's so many more things to say about like how men are so great at commitment and so amazing at getting the things done that they find important, and so good at trying to look for a partner that can complement them. Makes me think of Boaz. Yeah, me too, for sure. Yeah, someone that can complement them. And so I just think the spirit of the benevolent father is such a beautiful way to think about men and masculinity. It's really, really amazing to think about that. Again, it's one of these things. I'm always scared to try to infantilize women too much because I don't think that's healthy either. Everything is nuanced, right? It's like, that's why I'm just this, I'm so excited growing Ancient Intelligence, and everything is so nuanced. We can play with an idea and then we can pull it back to the middle because it's not one thing or the other. But the idea of, yeah, your kid might love you in the moment if you give them the ice cream every single day before dinner, but they will hate you ultimately, and they will resent the shit out of you when they become the overweight kid, or when they become the kid that doesn't know how to be resilient and like get to work and achieve the things that deep down in their hearts they want to achieve. They will resent you. And the same thing goes with women, I think. In the moment, it's so important for a woman to just accept honesty. That's the other thing. That's the other difference between men and women that I think is really important. I think men are afraid to be honest with women because they're probably afraid. You guys tell me what you think. I'm my whole life's, the song of my life is just understanding men and women better and trying to help people, help people with this art. Definitely is an art as much as a science, for sure. Maybe even more so. But this notion that like it'll either be used against you. Hey, Conrad. It'll either be used against you or it'll be like not taken seriously, right? Or it'll create resentment. It'll create angst or anger. I think that's probably really frustrating for you guys, for men in general, because one of the things that I would love, and I think it's one of the healthiest things, yeah, totally. Opening up for sure, but also just telling the truth. I think there's something that, it's like, I think women get to learn how to say, okay, thank you for telling me that. You know what? Hurts me a little bit, or I don't like that, or let me just sit with this for a day, but thank you for telling me the truth. I value that you tell me the truth more than I value that you don't tell me the truth, right? And there needs to be this actionable, physical appreciation for telling the truth. And I think that's really, really important. Yeah, I think that's great. And they haven't learned how to be healthy and how they respond, so their worst comes out and they cause relational wounds. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I think all of this stuff is super important. Fundamentally, women need to learn that feminine frequency goes first. Okay? Like, whatever you want from a man or to experience with a man, if you're not getting it, it's an opportunity to look in the mirror, right? And that probably goes, it goes for men as well. Again, I think that the reason that I love all the men's coaches doing all the men's work, they're taking ownership and accountability, right? They're saying like, okay, my experience in my life is because of me. That's my intention as well. There's an opportunity here to take some ownership and accountability and to just point out what's going on and what I see. So that's that. What else? Anybody have anything else? What are some themes or common needs men have who work with you? Yeah, some of the themes are the desire to take up more space. I think this goes hand in hand with, their moms. Their moms are probably the women who grew up with this 1970s kind of like, anything you can do, I can do better. Like, men are stupid. All this weird, like, the feminism of the 70s and 80s. I think they grew up with that in the 80s and maybe even early 90s. And so they've been cut down. And just their goodness and their generosity and their desire to take risks and be bold and be powerful has been cut down. And so they're struggling to take up space and to even know that they're good enough. It's just worthwhile. A lot of the men that come to me have a lot of weirdly toxic dynamics with the women that they know and women that they've known and been in relationships with. And fundamentally, the first reminder that for me to them is you deserve good things. You deserve to be given the benefit of the doubt and to be appreciated and to be held in high regard and to be respected. You deserve all of that. And let's cut through what's in the way of you feeling like you deserve all that, and then actually seeing it in your life, right? Do you see differences in Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z clients? I have some Millennial. Yeah. Let's see. I think that maybe just the differences in substance abuse, just the differences in cope, right? The Gen Xers are going to probably drink. The Gen Zers are not really as much, unless they're from very big drinking cultures. I think it just depends. So maybe the answer to that question is no. But this has been fun, you guys. Thank you for joining me on the day after Christmas. Yeah, just like men and women as teammates, I think the big takeaway is all of you guys that are out, you're just like meeting women and you're trying to find your person. I think it's important to just remember, like, you're looking for a complementary person. You're looking for a teammate. And that means that they don't do the same job as you. This is why the mental load conversation never lands for men either. Women are just like, you should pick up 50% of all of the baking and all of the PTA meetings and all of this stuff. And it's like, men are just like, no, why would I do that? We're complementary. We're complementary. Like, I'm not going to do bake sale. You're doing bake sale. I'm doing other things. So it's just really interesting. Okay, I also want to share with you guys, so I have 3 spots already taken for my upcoming mastermind. This is something I've been working on for so long, and I'm just so excited. Each week has been planned out, and there's just a lot of juicy, exciting momentum and accountability, and it's exciting. So I have 8 spots that I'm keeping it this very intimate 3-month-long mastermind where the purpose of it is for you to come in with very specific goals and then be supported, have accountability, and also work through the emotional blocks that are holding you back from not getting what it is that you're looking for. And especially when it comes to some of our self-sabotage and some of the ways that we just don't believe what we're worth. I think there's so much there. Oftentimes it's not laziness or procrastination or overwhelm that causes us to not do what is good for us. It's actually a loneliness and a feeling of worthlessness, like a disconnection, a disconnection from our highest power. And so, honestly, there's nothing. One of the most important things is empowerment and connection, and the seeing of our higher self from the opposite sex. There could be nothing better than that, right? And people had it right with muses for men for so many hundreds of thousands of years, right? It's like this woman is like, I see you. I see your potential. I'm going to, call you forth into that potential. And I think it's really inspiring when men are so present with women and they are really excited about their passion. And they just, women we are very overwhelmed by the environment, and we want to please, and we get a little anxious about just all of the different things calling our attention. So one of the most healing things, almost in the same way that a man could be like healed by the beauty of like Venus de Milo, like right in front of him, right? A woman is so healed by a man who's just focused on her for the time that he's focused on her, and just helps her ground and just let all the overwhelm fall away. And it's very, very empowering. And for a man to be able to do that, he's got to find his power. He's got to find his own power. And that is my entire mission here. Like, I think we've come full circle. Opposite sex acknowledgement and appreciation and support elicits power, right? And it's amazing. Like, it's truly, truly, truly amazing. And it can heal. It can heal us, and we need that healing. And that's why I've created this mastermind called True North, to elicit that from you, that power. And I'm so excited about it. We start January 19th, so you have a couple weeks to kind of fill it up. I've got 3 people already locked in, which is great. So there's only a few more spots. And it's just really beautiful. It's a really beautiful space to have accountability and heal and grow and crush your goals right at the start of 2026, and just make some big changes. It's the year of the horse coming up, so that's really fun. Yeah, of course, the year of the horse, which is fun. I love. It just feels really good. It's like let's gallop into 2026. Wish the best for you guys too, and I hope y'all have a happy new year. My favorite thing that I do on New Year's is watch the old Soviet movie from the 1970s, The Irony of Fate. It's a tradition for most Russian-speaking people to watch that on the 31st. If you guys want to, you can take a look, have some fun, do like a Soviet Russian tradition. Turn on the subtitles, and it's a really great New Year's Eve tradition. So, Happy New Year! I hope you've gotten something from this that you can, think about, process, share with someone, talk to someone about it, connect better. Wishing you guys a very happy New Year, and see you soon. Bye, everybody.